Whether you're a merchant or a reseller, for those of you out there that love analytics, Microsoft provides a powerful tool for up-to-the-minute dynamic reports and dashboards. In the past, either in the General Store or through the General Store Analytics pack, you would have to run a report, close it, and restart or rerun the report when you want to look at different date ranges, departments, stores, or even if you want to look at summary data versus detailed data. With Power BI from Microsoft, this is no longer the case. You can change date ranges, store selections, zip codes, and states, and so much more. You can also drill down into the details on the fly while you are analyzing your data. And the best part is that you can use Power BI Desktop for free. So let's take a look.
In this demo, I've created a few dashboards using data from three files: customers, item activity, and item description. I've connected to this data via an ODBC connection to the General Store data files, much like we do for the General Store Analytics pack, which uses Crystal Reports. On the Queries page, you can see that I've imported data into each of these queries: customers, item activity, and item description. Now, Power BI does not currently support a live or real-time connection to the General Store data files, so you must import the data. This doesn't take long, and trust me, you're going to love what you can do with the data once it's imported, especially when analyzing month-to-month, year-to-year, or this year, last year trends and comparisons. Okay, we've selected our data, we've imported into our queries, and now we're ready to create dashboards and reports with that data. Here you can see I've created 4 dashboards: sales analysis by month, top item sales by year, department sales by year, and customer zip code data. If I hop back over to sales analysis by month, you can see that at first glance there's a lot going on here. Each of these elements, whether it's the select store element, select date range, tables, the graphs, or the subtotal data, those are all called visualizations in Power BI. And again, as I mentioned before, you have to import the data into Power BI because there's no live or real-time data connection. So the way that you can do that anytime is just by hitting the refresh button up here. But the first thing I want to take a look at is the select store drop-down. If I select stores this way, I can select a store, and real quick you can see that all the data elements or visualization pieces change just to show that store's data. So if I come up here and I select store 2, I'm going to see just data for store 2. But let's say I want to see that store in comparison to the entire chain. And again, this data that we're using simulates a 2-store chain. So what I'm going to do to get that comparison is I'm going to come down to the sales dollar by store pie chart. I'm going to select store 2. And again, you can see that in the tables and in my subtotals I'm looking at data just for store 2, but in my graphics I'm actually looking at comparisons. For example, in this pie chart we can see that store 2 sold less beer and supplies than store 1, but they sold more liquor and wine than store 1. And as I select these individual pieces on this visualization, you'll see that the actual detail numbers appear. The same thing happens if I go and I look at a bar chart. And real quickly you can see that store 2 has sold more in dollars than store 1. Their gross profit is higher in terms of dollars each month than store 1. And their profit margin is higher in each month than that of the aggregate chain. Okay, so if I select store 1 and I come down here and I look at store 1's profit margin, you can see that for each month it is lower than the aggregate profit margin for the entire chain. So real quickly, why is that? Is it a situation where the demographics are different at store 1? Is it a median income question? Is it a question of store accessibility? Is store 2 easier to get in and out of? Is the parking better? Is the location better? Is it the fact that maybe a big box competitor moved in close to store 1 that forced store 1 to lower its prices and its margins in order to compete? Or is it the customer experience? Is it better at store 2 than store 1? Are the staff more knowledgeable? Is the store cleaner? Is it newer? Is it easier to get in and out of? Some of you may say, well, hey, you know, in my business I already know what items move the best. I know what stores are doing better than others and why. But what if you had to tell your story to someone outside of your business, like an investor, a bank, a general manager, or maybe an absentee owner? Having this information at your fingertips and being able to dynamically and easily present those numbers back to those outside people is essential. It's powerful, and at the very least it can help you make more educated business decisions. And we've just come across this by looking at summary data. So let's go ahead and drill down into the details. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the department breakdown table. And you can see over here that drill down mode is on. So let's go over to the liquor department. Let's click on it. And currently we're looking at store 1. So let me come back and let me select all stores. Now we're looking at all stores. Then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to reopen up the department table. And now you can see that I can select which store I want to look at for liquor. I'm going to go ahead and choose store 2. And when I do that, I'm now drilled down into the category totals for department liquor for store 2. And I can change my sort order based on sales volume. I can do it on sales dollars, gross profit. I can flip back and forth as many times as I want, quickly and on the fly. And let's just say I want to look at the actual items sold at store 2 in the bourbon category. I just click on bourbon, and here you go. I've got all those items that sold for the period selected in the bourbon category for department liquor in store 2. And again, while I'm looking at the detail, I can change all my sort orders. And I can see what my best margin item was. I can take a look at my best gross profit, what sold the most in terms of dollars, what sold the most or sold the least in terms of units if I want to. Okay. So let's just say I want to go back up and I want to look at a different category. So I go back up and now I'm going to choose vodka. And now I have all this data available to me for the vodka category, liquor department, store 2. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up. And let's just say I want to choose a different department altogether, or a different store. So I'll choose store 1. And I'm going to go back up. Let's go back up and take a look at a different department. I'm going to choose beer, store 2, domestic, and there's all my domestic beer sales for that date range that we selected on the previous tab, and I'm looking at the detail. So what I'm going to do is go back to the report, and again I can drill back up here, and now I'm looking at the summary data again. So in looking at this one dashboard, you can see that you have a wealth of information at your fingertips that can quickly and easily be looked at in a number of different ways. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at top item. Now that we know our top departments, let's take a look at our top 25 item sales for 2017 and 2018. I'm going to go ahead and open up this visual, and let's just say I want to take a look at the top 50. All I have to do is come down here to my visual level filter. I'm going to change it to 50, and I'm going to hit apply filter. If I want to look at just the top 10, I can hit 10 and apply filter, and now I'm just looking at the top 10. Let me go ahead and change it back to 25, apply the filter, and again I can change my sort order based on high to low for gross profit, sales dollars, or sales volume. One other neat thing I can do here is I can choose more options, and I can export the data to a CSV file if I want to use it in something like Access or Excel. So what I'm going to do is go back to the report, and I'm going to go ahead and choose store 1 just to see what the data looks like. And here it looks like the Crown Royal Bar Leader is the #1 seller in terms of volume, sales dollars, and gross profit. If I go up here to store 2 to see if it's the same, I'll see that nope, it looks like the McCormick vodka is our #1 unit volume seller, but in terms of sales dollars and gross profit, the Tito's Vodka 175 is the #1 contributor. So I'm going to set this back to all stores view, and I can also choose individual stores and years by clicking on this graph over here. So now I'm looking at store 1 sales data for 2017. I'm going to look at store 2 for 2017. And let's go back up so we're looking at the top sales items. If I go over here to 2018, store 1, and 2018, store 2. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and put it back to all stores view, all years. And one thing I can also do is change my range of dates. I can use the slider, or I can type in the years manually. Here you can see I've got 10 years of data on this graph, and if I open that graph, I can also go to more options and I can show the data. This way I can see it in a tabular format as well as a graphical format, and I can export this to a CSV file as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the year to be 2018, just to make it a little bit easier to look at this demo. And here we're looking at both stores, but I'm going to go ahead and take a look at store 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to expand the table. And it looks like here I've got the Margarita machine is my #1 gross profit producer for 2018, followed by the Crown Royal bar leader. Apparently this store has the ability to sell to restaurants, bars, and catering companies, etc. Now, if I go back and I take a look at the report for store 2, I'll come over here, click on store 2. I'll open this back up. And again, the Tito's Vodka is the #1 contributor for gross profit and sales dollars. But if I come over here and change my sort order based on sales volume, the McCormick Vodka is the #1 seller. I'll go back over here to margin just to see what our best margin producer is. It looks like it's a Jim Beam 375. So you can see real quickly, you can take a look at data a number of different ways, change your data view quickly and easily in Microsoft Power BI. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the department sales by year table, and we'll take a look at that. Here's another simple tab that shows department sales by year. The key thing that I want to show you here is the ability to filter out data that you do not want to see. For example, let's take a look at this table for 2017 to 2018. I'm going to open it up here. And one thing you'll notice is that in 2018 we decided to give catering a shot. It was a great success, and as a result we've decided to spin that business off into a completely different entity. So we want to filter that data out for the purpose of this analysis. So to do that, we're simply going to go down to our filters, and in Power BI you can apply filters to an individual visual, whether it be a graph or a table. You can do it to an entire page, or you can do it to the entire report. In this example we're going to do a page level filter. So I'm going to come up here to the item description and open it up. And I'm simply going to drag the department field down into my page level filter. Then I'm going to select all, and then I'm going to search for the field or the department that I do not want to look at, which is going to be catering. And there it is. I'm going to deselect catering, and real quick when I do that you'll see that catering is gone from the table. If I go back to the report, it's out of all the visuals as well. Now if you change your mind, you want to see catering as part of your analysis, you simply go back and delete the filter. And there you go, catering is back. So you can see filters are another simple, powerful tool that Power BI brings to the table. So to conclude this demo, we're going to take a look at customer zip code data. On this dashboard, we're looking at a geographical concentration of our customers by zip code, city, and state. There's several visualizations on this dashboard, including a customer count. There's a map, there's a zip code table, state and city table, and 3 different pie charts. Let's take a look at how these visualizations work in conjunction with each other. For example, if I click on a specific zip code, it's going to zoom the map in to that zip code area. If I select a specific city, it's going to show me that concentration of customers in that city area. Also, if I come down and I take a look at, let's say, Waco down here on the pie chart, it's going to give me the same thing on the map. I can also take a look at stores. Here's store 2, and here's store 1. Now real quick, when you look at store 1, you'll notice we have some outlying zip codes. We have one out here in Montana. It looks like we have a few in Dallas. It looks like we have one or more in Houston. So typically what we're going to want to do to make this map more meaningful and easier to read is we want to get rid of those outliers, so we'll simply just filter them out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to page level filters, okay, and then I'm also going to open up my customer table. I'm going to come down to zip code, and I'm going to drag that zip code into my page level filter. I'm then going to select all zip codes, and then I'm going to take a look at this one first. So let's see, that's 59808, so I'm going to deselect 59808, and you'll see that the map actually zooms in. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at some of these outliers in Dallas and Houston. So it looks like 75231, 75219, and 75201. So I'm going to get rid of those zip codes. And again, you'll notice that it zooms in a little bit more. If I come over here, that zip code is 77402. So I will come down on that filter to the bottom, and I'll deselect that zip code. And now I'm looking at a true concentration of zip codes that are actually around our store location. So it makes this map a little bit more meaningful and easier to analyze. Now, what I have the ability to do here is I can go ahead and take a look at store 2's zip codes, and then I can take a look at store 1. And real quickly, you notice that store 2 has more customers registered on the mailing list than store 1. They also look like they have more customers west of I-35, where store 1 looks like it has a few more outliers east of I-35. But other than that, the concentrations are pretty close around the Waco area. But again, if you remember from our sales analysis by month, where we ask why is store 2 doing so much better than store 1 in terms of sales, gross margin, margin percentage, one can look at this dashboard and say, hey, it looks like they may be a little bit more engaged with their customers at store 2 than are the staff at store 1. Maybe they're doing more with the mailing list. Maybe they're doing more with an email campaign or customer loyalty programs. Or maybe they're just asking more people to get signed up. But nonetheless, it probably has something to do with why they're doing better than store 1 in terms of overall performance. It is easy to see that Power BI gives you the tools to harness the power of your general store data like never before. In the coming months, we'll be adding additional Power BI reports and dashboards that you can use for free using Power BI Desktop. If you wish to share those reports and dashboards with other members of your team, then you'll have to purchase Power BI Pro licenses for $9.99 per user per month. With Power BI Pro, these reports and dashboards can be viewed on PCs as well as iOS and Android devices. So for more information, give us a call at 800-678-4535 or email us at support@thegeneralstore.com.